Welcome. My name is Mark Dowey. I am the Built Environment Officer for CoMoUK. CoMoUK supports shared transport provision in the UK. We're talking today about mobility hubs. Well, who is CoMoUK? CoMo stands for Cooperative Mobility, so it's all about bringing various operators together and various modes of transport together. We were formerly Bike Plus and Car Plus. Primarily, we look at research. We run a number of surveys on bike share and car clubs. We give guidance. If you go into our website, there's a lot of information around shared transport, mobility hub, and likewise. We run networks and forums in the industry to encourage participants to engage with each other and share their knowledge. And we also do an accreditation scheme as well on shared transport and mobility hubs, and I'll touch on that a bit more later on. So what is a mobility hub? Well, there it is there. It's a coming together of a number of infrastructure ideas into a single urban entity. So you can see a variety of things there, be it buses or EV cars, and even things like facilities, vending machines, vendors, anything that pulls this idea together in an urban context. It's not dissimilar to Ali's presentation on MAS in some ways, in that it's about that coming together of a lot of ideas. In this instance, it's a real place rather than a virtual place, but equally as. So what is the definition of a mobility hub? A mobility hub is a recognisable and easily accessible place which integrates different transport modes and supplements them with enhanced facilities, services and information aimed at encouraging more sustainable travel, creating a sense of place and improving journeys and travel choices. So that's quite a lot to package. Let's call it a kind of 21st century transport hub. It's a station. So what does it actually encompass? What are the various things that could come together in a mobility hub? Well, that's the big list, if we can kind of pull that down a wee bit. The first thing is the big ticket items, the bus connectivity, rail connectivity. Ideally, both of them together, but if you've only got one, that's fine. And then from that, you go into the more shared modes of transport. So we've got bike share, including e-bike share, lift share and car clubs, perhaps e-scooter share in the near future. Obviously, that's been trialled in England just now. EV charging can bring revenue to the table. DDRT, which is digital demand responsive transport, which is not dissimilar to MAS in many ways. And then beyond that, you've got this tertiary level, which might be cycling parking storage. You might have the Amazon parking lockers, and beyond that, facilities such as WCs, cafe, vendors, or vending machines, you know, anything that pulls people in. And then beyond that, things like wayfinding. We're even toying with the idea of real kind of urban built environment, things like shared office space and whatnot. Anything that generates a bit of usage of the space and brings people together. So beyond that, why shared transport in terms of working together? Well, it improves the travel experience. It certainly gives choice, safety, comfort, connectivity. It brings all these things together in one place, and it promotes, and within that context, it promotes all the shared services. So if you're moving from a train onto a shared bike, then this is the sort of place that you'll be doing that. The public realm improvements. If you bring people together in one place, then so much the better, and we should be looking at public realm improvements in that context. And the benefits, well, it supports low car housing, clean air zones and social inclusion. So there's a lot of benefits to be had from it. Big ticket picture stuff, transport poverty. In terms of our car club survey, 20% of respondents stated they couldn't afford to own a car. And that was the reason for joining a car club. The carbon saving side of it is massive. This is what it's all about. It's all about getting people out of the car at the end of the day. But car club carbon savings are approximately the equivalent of the lifetime CO2 equivalency of absorption of 5,500 trees. So there's a massive gain to be had here by moving people to different forms of shared transport. Policy objectives, well, we all know what they are. It's all about the climate emergency, decarbonising transport. But in terms of mobility hubs particularly, I think it feeds into the new National Planning Framework and the Strategic Planning Review, which are starting to really look at things like mobility hubs. You can call them a lot of different things. And really sort of focusing in on how we deliver these shared transport and active travel modes better. And I think Mobility Hub really, focuses in on that. Place standards. If you're doing a transport assessment, then a place standard assessment that throws up a lot of transport issues. Then these things really, feed into that, and we can solve a lot of problems with it. And then clearly there's the whole 20-minute neighbourhoods that's becoming so popular at the moment, and understandably so. We're about that last mile travelling, be it e-bikes or bike share or whatever. And then that all feeds into health and well-being as well. Community engagement, it's about meeting local needs. We're very keen on ensuring that the hub meets the requirements of the local community. There's no point in putting in stuff that just simply isn't going to get used. So we promote community engagement events, making sure that we understand what the community needs, and that maybe leads forward to, if you're dealing with a mobility hub, community assessment debrief, so that we tell the hub what is actually required, and that can filter down into active travel planning with partners as well. So the whole thing's a holistic approach to how we deal with this. Implementation, this is a kind of CoMo thing more than anything else. We can advise in cost. We're doing some cost work with some architects in Glasgow at the moment. We can advise in funding streams, although, as you all know, these open and close with remarkable speed and regularity. We can advise on scale and interoperability. What is the right solution at each hub? Is there a central hub which has a radial effect across an area? What size are those hubs at the end of the spokes, as it were? And we're happy to advise in that, and that feeds into a design guide. If you go into our website, there's a vast array of design guides for mobility hubs. CoMoUK do an accreditation process, which is bronze, silver and gold, and that's to do with the type of hub and what you actually provide in terms of facilities. But we're always happy to look at stuff and accredit stuff. And then we've mentioned before the place standards. We're happy to feed into that place standards process and give you advice on that. So that's implementation and what CoMo can do. We've touched already on appropriate siting. So if we split it very, very roughly across the three settings, rural, suburban and urban, one size doesn't fit all. It's as simple as that. So we're happy to feed into what we think is best and how to engage the community to establish what's best and advise around that situation as well. Just make it easier for all the participants to get through the briefing process, such that what happens in the hub is actually valid. Okay, so to be perfectly honest, I think this is a wee bit out of date, but what the point of this is there is a proliferation of these hubs starting to happen in the UK, and we've accredited a few of them. And what I would like to do is just talk through some case studies. I mean, it's a very, very light touch in terms of what they are. So this is Redbridge, South Woodford, down in the London Borough of Redbridge. And this is a very small mobility hub. It still received a gold accreditation from us. A couple of EV charging points sit in place. There's bike share nearby, although we have cropped these photos, you can't see the bike share. But yeah, so that's a mobility hub. It needn't be the be all and end all. There is a scaling thing to this, as I've mentioned. Case study 2, up at Loch Ness. This is where the community have bought an existing council building and are really looking to build their idea of what a hub is. So there's cycle hire, there's EV charging, and what they have is a lot of plans to take that a lot further. Oh, the other thing, they've bought a business that's actually the baggage transfer, local baggage transfer business, and pulled that into the hub, which is, it's not something that's ever been on any of our tables. So it's quite interesting to see that other folk have other ideas about how to make this work and how to get the revenue streams up and running. Case study 3, this is a new housing development next to East Calder down in the Lothians. And I think what's interesting about this one is this is very much developer led. They've said, look, We agree there's a climate emergency here, and we're going to do something about it. So this was not part of their planning consent. This was something that they decided to do. So they've got bikes, they've got the bus route on it, they've got EV car club. So they actually saw this as a win for them as developers. And this is the first time we've really seen that in Scotland. So it's really quite interesting. That's kind of me. So that's been very good. Oh, sorry, I went too far there. Double press. Thanks very much. There's the email address. Please do get in touch via the chat if it's something that you want to do and want to talk to us. Always happy to talk to anybody that's on any level of delivering shared transport. Thanks very much, Dan.